Hello, welcome
Hello,
to our
sir.
podcast. And I would like to welcome and privileged to be a teacher of one of my student. Proud to be his teacher, Bosco Fernandes. Hello, Bosco. How are you?
Hello, sir. I'm really good. Thank you. It's my privilege to be on this podcast with you.
Great. So, Bosco, since now we are meeting uh, online and we had in-person interaction as well after so long, as I mentioned earlier as well, it's my proud to see my students growing, and one of my students is yourself as well. I would like you to share your academic and professional background for our listeners. So please go ahead.
Absolutely. And thank you, sir, once again for the opportunity. My name is Bosco Fernandes. I've completed my MBA from Zabus University. In fact, I did both my bachelor's and my master's in business management. Then on, when I moved to Canada, I also did a couple of certification courses in supply chain. Most importantly, I completed my PMP, which is like project management professional, and also my certified Scrum Master, which is CSM, which helped me a lot in my experience in the logistics and supply chain industry. So I have
Hmm.
over 10 years of experience in supply chain and logistics, starting from Karachi, of course, and now in Canada too. Along with that, I've coupled it with a couple of different courses in data analytics, process improvement, which has helped me slowly and gradually move into my career into a project manager. So right now, I'm currently into a full-time role as a project manager, handling different clients, handling multi-products, and improving the current processes. That's my passion. I think supply chain is what I started my career in, and
Hmm.
that's where I see myself growing in the next few years as well.
Perfect. Pretty interesting profession. And as you mentioned that you are certified project manager as well in the Scrum Master. And this field is getting more and more importance with respect to different sectors. I would like
Yes.
to uh, hear more from you regarding this. When we talk to different youngsters, they are not very clear with this. For example, when you are talking about the certifications, they always come up with the questions, what kind of certifications are important? And you have done project management. So can you please highlight uh, the importance of your certification with respect to supply chain management as you are in this?
Mhm. Absolutely. I think when I started my career in logistics and supply chain itself, there was a completely brand new universe, I would say, in front of me that I had very minimal knowledge about. And I mean, getting the knowledge and understanding of the basics is one thing, but I al always had a passion of improving things and improving processes. And that's why I always wanted to understand, what is there a mechanism, is there a methodology that, that is not restricted to say one specific industry, be it banking, be it logistics, be it pharmaceuticals. And that's why one of my close friends, advised me about project management, on how critical role can it not play just in your own career as supply
Hmm.
chain, but in your own personal life as well, because it actually tells you how to time manage, how to, manage small projects, how to manage big projects, how to manage your stakeholders. So definitely, when I started to pursue my PMP certification, it was a challenge. Definitely, you're learning something new, taking on a new challenge, but also very transformative experience, I would say, balancing what I needed to do in my professional work, but bringing along what skills I learned from my project management. So my goal was not just to get another certification, but to utilize those skills, right, in the best possible way in what I do. And that's where I had a passion, and I started off in customer service. I wanted to have a process of, how do we go from point one to point B, and improve that process. So that journey definitely taught me, how to optimize process, how to manage stakeholders, how to understand risk, which is part of any profession that we do, even whatever sector we may be in. So it not only, gave me the professional experience and knowledge that I needed, but also, helped me open my doors to leadership in terms of, supply chain and logistics, understanding where I need to focus to improve my processes, but also to grow, and not be stagnant in what you know and what you learn, but to move ahead, and learn more stuff, but also, have a solid foundation. And that's where PMP really helped, to understand what you know, but to build on and have a solid process base that can help me, in any field that, I can pursue in the future as well.
Great. So, Bosco, is there a component of technology as well? Like, is there any software training attached with this kind of certification, or that's a separate?
Yes, yes, there is, and that is a personal choice, right? Right now, there's, and I can give an example of AI. There's multiple sources of AI now, be it ChatGPT, be it DeepSeek, which is in the news nowadays.
Yes.
PMP as well has its own softwares, and a couple of ones that I can mention is Asana. There is Trello. There is the most tried and tested one, MS Project. So it
Mm.
really depends on what you're comfortable with. At the end of the day, no one's going to question you as to which software you use. That's your call, your, ability. What's important is how you manage your project, how you lead it to be successful. So software, yes, they do give trainings in that, but that's also your personal preference and also your company's personal preference in which ones they use. But having that expertise in today's day and age is really important to adapt. And if you learn one, the other ones are quite similar, to adapt and be flexible on.
Okay, great. So, when we take up courses and masters in business administration and all such things, it is just a very preliminary stage when we go through this project management. For example, when it has been said, and most of the time, the examples are being given with respect to the construction sector.
Mhm.
But when we look at the project deployment, for example, if a new technology is being adopted by any financial institution, that is
Mhm.
also going to be considered as a project management. Is it the case, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That, in fact, that was my concept or my, I would say, my preconceived notion as well, sir. That
Hmm.
it's only restricted to say, engineering, or it's only restricted to buildings, constructions. When you think of project, that is not the case. When I started to learn project management, it is not to any particular sector. In fact, I probably use it in my own personal life now than anything else. I mean, what is project management is basically how efficiently you manage expectations of what needs to be delivered, how efficiently you manage the coordination of different stakeholders. I mean, for a sense, I've managed projects which are smaller customers to larger customers, but I mean, you'll be surprised of how much coordination and communication that you would assume is easy to do or easily done is not the case. That's where project manager comes in. A project manager is like a glue that makes sure everyone communicates to each other and the requirements are clear to each other. And that's the goal of a project manager to make sure, not only understand the customer's requirements, but also translate it to what exactly needs to be done to execute those requirements. So yes,
Great. So, Bosco, if I'm not wrong, this is a US based institute, right?
this is so if you're talking about PMP itself, no, it's a
Recogn-
global certification.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a global certification recognized across the globe.
across the
And
globe. Yes, correct.
uh, great. And accordingly, the payment for this certification, the pay, is it too costly to afford for
So
youngsters?
I would say for myself at least I was able to get some assistance from my company, so I was grateful for that. But in terms of cost benefit, no, I would say definitely not. Obviously, it's not as expensive as doing a bachelor's or a master's degree. But in terms of just the cost itself for a PMP, in terms of preparation as well, there are many online resources available like YouTube, Coursera, Udemy, where you can study by yourself. You don't have to spend like, a couple of dollars to learn or get ready for it. Yes, but the exam has a nominal cost, which you have 3 attempts to get through. So I would say no, it's definitely worth it, and it's not as expensive. If you can save through, for yourself,
Self-study.
it's definitely
Mm.
yes, self-study, trial and error. I would say you do take your time, at least I would say between 3 to 6 months, depending on how much time you can manage to spare. But that is good enough to for you to, to be in a position to at least attempt the exam.
Great. And as I ask so many mentors that do you think practical knowledge should comes first before selection of your career path when you select any specific degree so at least complete your bachelor's and then go ahead take some experience, then you can select where you should pursue your certifications or masters or any further degree. Do you agree with this?
Yes, absolutely. I think that you hit the nail on the spot, sir. I think that's something that I think every youngster should take into account rather than going into, some course or some degree blindly. I would say, you rightly said, get into the profession, see how you like it. If you like what you do, then understand what do you need to do to move ahead in the ladder, right? If it's getting more technical experience, getting more technological, expertise, but getting that practical experience is key. I would say in any industry and any sector. Absolutely, 100%. I would agree with that.
Right. And in PMP certification, are there any CPD hours, or is there any requirement that once you're completing your certificate, you're going, for example, in Chartered Financial Analyst, they are saying that we are going to assign you charters when you have certain experience as well. It's not just that teaching. So is it work the same way in PMP as well?
Yes, absolutely. And there's two parts to this. Even before applying for a PMP, you would have to showcase, and PMI is the institute that oversees the certification. There is a certain number of hours of requirement whereby you've been involved heavily in projects, and you'll have to give them a breakdown of what your involvement was, in whatever perspective it might be. You may not be the project manager, but you might be a part of the project, but they need to see as to how involved you were and do you have at least the basic skills to understand what a project is or what capacity did you contribute. But on the second part, once you do achieve it, it's not like an MBA or a bachelor's program that once you achieve it, it's done. No, it's constant learning. So every 3 years, you're supposed to give back to the society, whether it's volunteering and teaching hours through project management. It's also learning new courses, whether it's teaching online too. You have to give back to the community, and you have to be involved in multiple projects to be able to renew your certification, which is a really good ask because you're constantly up to date with technology as well as new concepts, because learning is always evolving, right? Learning is never stagnant. So yes, that is a requirement for not just before completion but after completion as well.
Wow, that's a very great uh, requirement because once you're giving back to society, you are keeping yourself updated, and
Yes.
at least we feel sense of satisfaction that we are contributing in some way or other.
Absolutely, I would agree. I think I learn more when I teach someone. When you're giving a presentation, you learn more than you learn when you're self-studying. So yeah, that's a really good way of not just learning yourself, but also sense of satisfaction that you're contributing back, and giving some sense back.
Great, Bosco, and you have wealth of experience. Yeah, I can see that you have not deviated from logistic and supply chain. You started your journey in there, and then you are still in there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, absolutely. I think that was my very first job back in Karachi, I would say. And I really enjoyed every day that I go into it. It's not a job for me. I think it's a passion for me. And when I got into the logistics field, I just thought it's only restricted to, like containers, and ocean mode of transportation. But that's not the case. Right now, we're talking about multi modes of transportation, air freight. We're talking about rail transport. We're even talking about drones, so we're talking about multiple modes of transport. And honestly, when COVID happened, right, in 2020, I mean, this is
Mhm.
one sector that really had to be united to get stuff to, different parts of the world. And just been able to contribute to that, day in, day out and see the massive improvements that happens. I think it's really helped me in my journey and, in my career to not just to learn and grow, but to see so many different products and different sides of supply chain and how important it is right from our own house, to getting food and getting grocery to our own house to even business sectors. That's the importance of, our supply chain and an efficient supply chain.
Great. In fact, this is how the world is working. It's all about trade and best
Yes,
practices. And you rightly pointed out that in COVID times, it was not being able to survive because the trade was
yes,
functioning. There were so many things which were required from the healthcare perspective as well, and you guys were on your toes. You facilitated the whole world from the trade
yes.
perspective. Great. Bosco, thanks a lot for your time. Coming to the conclusion, is there anything which you would like to add to motivate youngsters to for their studies, for uh, maybe getting more skills, especially in the world where AI is there and people are saying that it's going to be difficult and challenging when we are seeking help from AI, then humans will not be required. So I would like to seek some advice from your perspective for the youngsters. How would you like to motivate them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would say threefold, and that's more applicable in terms of how I proceed with my own personal and professional career as well. Number one, I would say is, learn the basics and get certified because learning never stops, as much as in whichever stage of your career you're in, whatever age you're at, learning never stops. So be as dynamic as possible, learn new stuff and, understand the basics. I think that's key for any industry. Number two for me, I think you hit it really nicely, sir, is develop, tech skills and develop technical skills, right? A lot of people nowadays don't realize the importance of, say learning Power BI, learning, different project management softwares, be it ChatGPT, just learning to use that in your day-to-day life. Once you do, you'll really see the importance of not only making your life easy, but people who you work for as easy and as efficient as possible. And thirdly, I think you pointed out in your comment or commentary as well, it's important to network, right? Whichever part of the world you are in, it's very important, whichever industry you're in, is to network and talk to people. I think after COVID, we've gone back to, kind of working remotely and, been away from talking face to face. But I think that's really key. Once you network with people, you learn so much from different people in terms of the wealth of experience, knowledge, and it helps build that communication and builds that trust, which will not just help you, professionally, but also, help you in your career to take the right decisions ahead.
Great. Thanks a lot for such a concise, precise, and well thought uh, conclusion. And I really pray for your prosperity and career growth, Bosco. Stay blessed. Thanks
Thank you.
again.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, listeners. Till